Derrick Henry last year, 280 rushing attempts, 1,167 yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, had 28 receptions on 36 targets for 214 yards, 0 touchdowns through the air. Thoughts on Derrick Henry?
I think at the age of 30, Derrick Henry is in an offense that could put him in position to break the single season touchdown record for a running back. Like I'm not sure what the total yardage is really going to look like yet. Like I need to really take a look at this. Like I don't know that he's necessarily going to be touching the ball 25 times a game, but I think they're going like why not save Lamar? You no longer have to worry about this. When you get inside the 5, you don't have to run Lamar. You just run the play because Derrick Henry will get you the yards, and that's what he's there for. So, I expect him to be over 1,000 yards, 1,300 yards is probably where he's going to end up in this offense because it's that good and he's going to be that open, especially if he's able to quickly get up to speed with this RPO just to freeze that defense a half a second for what Derrick Henry has seen when everyone's just stacking the box and going against him, I think makes a world of difference. So I really like Derrick Henry. And if you're intentionally waiting kind of in that next tier of running backs, right? You kind of have your first 3 that go off the board, and then you kind of have your next 3 or 4 that go off the board or so. But then there's this next kind of run of running back there at the end of the kind of the end of the second round. And so if you're drafting at the 1 hole or the 2 hole, right? And you decide, okay, I'm going to grab Tyreek or CD Lamb, right? And you're coming back, pairing that up with Derrick Henry and then turn around and getting a Mike Evans is not a bad way to start a draft because I think Henry is going to absolutely crush it for fantasy this year, and a lot of it's going to come off of touchdowns. And I know they're hard to predict, but there's just something about this that tells me 20 plus touchdowns is not out of the question for Derrick Henry this 2024 season.
Yeah, I was slightly, when you see him go to Baltimore, you're slightly concerned about the work that Lamar does that takes away from the running back position, right? The stuff that Lamar would do. But you make a great case there, Kevin, that Lamar no longer needs to do that, right? And if he can adapt, which we have seen him do, right? We've seen him develop and change his game, maybe not as quickly as I think his coaches would like, but we've seen him change his game. And now that he has a reliable, basically hand the ball off and get 4 yards back, I don't think we're going to see him try to do as much of the quarterback run game. I think the threat will still be there to keep defenses honest, but it won't be as prevalent. And that's a nightmare for defenses, right? That's a nightmare for those defensive coordinators is we still have to prepare for Lamar Jackson to run, but oh yeah, Derrick Henry's also there. So what are we going to do to try and defend against that? Single season touchdown, like if he does that, that's, easy RB1 or 2, right? If he does what you think he's going to do, yardage really withstanding, because in order to get that, you're going to probably get a fair amount of yards. And we do know that he can be a featured back, can carry the ball 25 times if he needed to, right? Whether or not they use him that way is still to be seen. But that's RB1, RB2 territory. You get this guy at pick 25, talk about a steal.
Like I was looking back at 2006 when LaDainian Tomlinson did set that touchdown record of 28 rushing touchdowns in a single season, 455 fantasy points in half-point PPR scoring back then. Christian McCaffrey this last year, 358. So, and Christian McCaffrey was heads and tails above any other running back in there. So, you'd be talking about a huge difference maker. If that kind of comes to fruition and putting on, 12 to 1,300 yards on top of that on the ground. So that absolutely could be a difference maker. And Kevin kind of calling the shot there. So I like the bold take there. Derrick Henry's just really good at football though. right? Like when it comes down to it, this is a guy that I really don't have any problem putting on my roster, even as my first running back, taking him in that second to third round type of turnaround there. And if he certainly falls a little bit into that third round, hits, smash draft, move on, and just be happy at that point, because you've got a guy that can be an anchor running back that you didn't have to spend first round capital on.